Do you react or do you redirect? I've been very productive, getting a lot of things done with my time off, and all of a sudden I kind of lost my motivation because I was crossing off so many things on my list, and I just felt like I had nothing else to offer, nothing else to do. And so instead of leaning into something else or redirecting my energy, I just started nitpicking at everyone else in the house. And it did not make for a pleasant day because I have all this wonderful energy that I could be using to redirect my kids, to help support my wife, to work on a new project, or to get some clarity. And here I am just fixated on the task in front of me and only the task in front of me. And that's something I think we have to do preemptively. When you want to learn how to redirect, which we'll get a bit more into the definition now, you need to do that preemptively. You need to have a plan going into the redirection. Redirecting in the moment can be a massive, massive problem. Let me explain. So when it comes to the idea of redirecting, you are, of course, trying to stop in most cases, the disciplinary actions that may come in some degree, especially to a child and inevitably to ourselves. And so, I'll say it in an adult scenario before we move into the kids. Say I really have a problem with speeding. I obviously need to reprimand myself before I get a ticket or before I end up killing someone. One of the ways to inevitably get or redirect that energy of speeding is to go and do something physical, hopefully before you drive, to allow yourself to relax. And or maybe it's to invest in a go-kart league, or maybe it's to go to the track, and rip up some tires. Get that energy out in a different way before you make yourself potentially susceptible to problems. So how does that redirecting work as a parent? Well, again, just as with the adult analogy of speeding or driving, you are going to be in a moment as a parent where your child's going to be doing something they shouldn't be doing, and if they continue on that pattern, something bad is going to happen. And if you try to kind of come up with a redirection plan in the moment, you may succeed, but in a lot of ways, I think most parents, when they do that, they fail. Now, there's some parents that are fantastic on their feet, can easily think of a way to redirect their children away from the situation. But a lot of times, without a good plan, that redirection becomes, I'm just going to enforce discipline. And it quickly shifts, and you are in a situation where you're in a screaming match with your kid, or they're not listening, your temper is going up, and you are in a bad situation and making it worse. When you plan out your redirection and you have your tools and things set up throughout the day, you give yourself a lot of options. You allow yourself to keep in a cool and even kilter, as well as if you do have to discipline, you don't do it out of a place of emotion. And a lot of parents, I don't think, set themselves up properly. Case in point, I have started to track what types of activities my daughters will do throughout the day, so that when there is an argument over a toy, or there is an attitude issue, or there is a I don't want to do this anymore, on the tip of my tongue, I have 3 or 4 different redirections that they can go. Whether it's, hey, let's start drawing, or that puzzle we started the other day, let's do that. Now, that's for a littler kid. That's a little bit easier to redirect them with, their attention span being lacking. But let's say you have maybe a kid who's 10 or 12 or 14 years old and they're stuck on their phones all the time. Well, I think it's getting to know your child and getting to a place where you can engage with them, learn about the things that they're interested in. And when you have a situation where they're acting out or they're frustrated, maybe it's time for you, if possible, to stop what you're doing and go through that quick list that you have and see if there's anything that you can do with them to redirect their energy. Because a lot of the time, I find, and this is anecdotal, I find that the reason why they're acting out or they're struggling is probably not because of the in the moment situation that they're struggling with. It's probably not because they can't finish their homework. It's probably not because their brother has taken their controller, or their favorite team just lost. Chances are there's something going on at school, or there's something that was said to them by someone at church, or they just don't feel, maybe even right in their body. Maybe they're feeling underweight, overweight. Maybe they're feeling inadequate. And it's up to us as parents to sometimes redirect that information. Now, I am, again, all for the right forms of discipline, especially discipline that is not done out of wrath and anger. As it says in the Bible, parents, actually in particular, it says fathers, do not cause your children to wrath. Usually the father is seen throughout the centuries as the disciplinarian. And so for myself, I have to know that there is a time and place to discipline my children. Most of the time, all I have to do is basically say, do you want fun, daddy, to go away? Because whether or not you can believe it, I'm super fun. I'm a massive kid. I love, I'm a big guy. I love throwing the kids up in the air, catching them. I love doing wrestling. I love playing Monster. I love playing hide and seek, even though I can't hide in very many places. But I'm always ready to do some art, to throw down, to talk. And one of the greatest tools that I can use, not as manipulation or not as something to scare them, but I can just say, hey, do you want fun daddy to go away? Do you want me to be more just, hey, let's read a book? Do you want me to be a little bit more, I guess you could say, a bit more of a square than a round ball of fun? And that usually works because, kids want to play off your energy. They want to have fun. They want to hang out. Now, granted, again, if you're dealing with teenagers, it's a different story. Most of the time they want their space. And so, again, redirecting, might be, instead of like, hey, you're losing your iPad, I want you to come learn how to cook with me, or you don't get your iPad later, or something like that, so that you also give yourself an opportunity to chat with them, to talk to them about their day, to see where things are going. So I think as parents, yes, there is time for discipline, for reprimanding, for stopping something in the moment and saying, you need to stop this right now, you're going to hurt somebody. And I think there's a lot more room to redirect the situation and get the best out of people, and get the best out of your kids. Because let me tell you, in the times that I've healthily redirected my children, at least to start off before things escalate, and I do have to go down that road, pretty much every single time that I've redirected them, their energy changes, we talk a little bit more, I get more of a connection, and that's just not with my kids. Like, this is redirecting, teenagers that I used to work with, kids of different ages, and you'd be surprised, adults. Even just redirecting a conversation or getting people to retell or recount a different scenario, or just shifting the conversation is huge. Now, when it comes to personal life, and as a parent, or as a aunt or uncle, or as a just a person in day-to-day society, one of the things that really helps as well with redirecting is our energy. If you're feeling like you're in a bad place, or you're feeling like you are not good enough, or you haven't done enough in the day, again, I always push the idea of writing out a faith log, keeping that accountability, and also trying at the beginning of your day to plan out multiple avenues of things that you need to get done, and also planning out things that are fun for you to do. I used to struggle with sleep, and I used to struggle at times with being sick on a consistent basis. And so I went from feeling really mopey and miserable about the whole scenario all the time to saying, how do I plan and redirect my energy when I'm sick to go from mopey, miserable Steve to I'm okay with this in the moment situation. And so I said to myself, well, as I tend to say to myself quite often, what things do you love to do, Steve? Well, I love movies. I love binge watching some TV shows. I love gaming. I love writing. And again, it is a little bit hard when you're sick or in pain or sleep deprived. But writing and creative work can still be done. Trust me, it can still be done. And so I made this laundry list of things to do. And as time went on, whenever I would get sick or whenever I'd have a situation where I was feeling down or low about myself or I couldn't sleep, boom, I just look to the written physical list that I used to have, or go to my phone and go, it usually was to like my Google Doc app or my just written documents app. I just quickly pull up that document and I'd start firing through all the things that I could do to use this time effectively. And I say 70-80% of the time, I would just feel relaxed. I would usually feel better, or I think I would heal faster. But most importantly, the one thing I can say for sure is that because I was relaxed, I would usually sleep better. I would sleep quicker. Instead of being anxious or worried about when I was going to sleep with that impending doom of what time it'll be when I actually sleep and how many hours of sleep will I get. Well, if you're watching a movie or playing your favorite video game or you're interested in a piece of creative work, the time kind of flies and your body naturally gets relaxed and you naturally pass out because you're not fighting all of those stress hormones that are being released. And hopefully you're getting some nice, endorphins, your melatonin, serotonin, starting to work itself out the way they do to make you tired, and inevitably you're able to pass out. So at any situation and any level at life, I think redirecting is a fantastic tool to slowing things down. And as again we land the plane here, I think that redirecting is planned out and methodical. It can sometimes be in the moment, but it is something that I think all parents, all people, all bosses, all just about anyone and everyone should kind of have a list of the things to do when your situation gets tough, gets sticky, when there's an angry situation moving or moving in a bad direction. And I think that's one of the best ways not to be a peacekeeper, but a peacemaker. Because when you're a peacekeeper, you're just kind of pushing them off into the corner and trying to get them to go to their corners and or whatever it might be, whatever situation you might want to look at it, or how you want to look at it. But when you're a peacemaker, you are completely trying to change the dynamic of the situation. You're not trying to just separate the two parties. You're trying to make long-term peace and allow them to work through and use their various coping mechanisms and different forms of communication to help them along their way. If anyone has any comments or questions, I'd love to answer them. But as it is right now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to watch another video in the Dad Doing Dishes playlist, just take a look at the video right here. If you'd like to subscribe and like, that would be amazing. You could do that over here. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day, evening, morning, or night. God bless.